Information that you can utilize right now, today on your wellness journey. Let's go. Hi, I'm Ksenia. I'm an ex-professional dancer, multi-certified body nerd, and creator of La Technique. Thank you for being here. If you don't subscribe, please do. I put up new videos every single week. Speaking of, this is part 2 to the wellness tips, and the caveat still remains. There is a bit of a soft focus. I wanted to give you a heads up, and I didn't have time to reshoot because I have a toddler. That's just how it goes. So let's get right to it. If you saw part 1 of my practical wellness tips, then you know part 2 is on the way. Movement. Most important thing is breath, followed by alignment, and then followed by movement. You need to learn how to breathe properly so you don't have a paradoxical breathing pattern, because that leads to so many problems. And you want to work with someone who knows what they're doing. Now, I've been accused of this. I'm not saying just work with me, just hire me, just come be a member on LTD 2.0. Like, do I want you? Yes, of course I do. But I'm not saying that. I'm saying work with people who are educated so that your body is being served in the best way possible. And that way you can also learn at the same time. So when you're not in class physically with someone, you can know, oh, that's what it feels like when I'm malaligned, or oh, that's what it feels like when that muscle, when my transverse abdominals are actually engaging properly. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like when my pelvis is actually in neutral and my glute max isn't holding my pelvis in neutral. First off, if you're taking classes, no matter if it's online or in person, more often than not, you will have the instructor or your trainer demonstrating. You ape it or mimic it or copy it to the best of your ability, and they will adjust you with modifications and realign you if need be. If you look at their body and how they're standing and it's questionable and it's like this, even though I was hunched over for the whole first of this video, just keep that in mind. Look at their posture. See how they hold themselves. See what kind of language they use. I prefer myself when I'm teaching to use scientific terms. That's also a part of my eating disorders. And it's also because I'm a nerd and I love science. But that may not work for someone who doesn't like to learn in that way or move in that way. So find someone who speaks your language that you understand. Sorry, this chair's squeaking a lot. And then look at their credentials. And if don't feel shy, just straight up ask them. And it's nothing. It's not being adversarial. It's just saying, hey, what are your accreditations? And they can tell you right then. Just so you know, in Canada, if you are a member of CanFit Pro and you are a certified personal trainer, or for any of their certifications, you need to have your CPR updated every single year, as well as you have to get 4 CECs every single year. That's continuing education credits. Myself, I was a CanFit Pro member, certified personal trainer. It was a personal training specialist. And I canceled it this year only because I found it was honestly a cash grab. Because it wasn't like the union, it wasn't like Actor, and it wasn't like Equity. They weren't helping me. They weren't ensuring that I was getting paid a certain level. They weren't ensuring that I was getting insurance. They weren't ensuring that I was getting RSP investments. So I quit it. But I still keep my CPR every year, and I still get my CECs every single year, simply because I'm curious. I want to learn, and I want to be the best that I can be. And I know that I'm not perfect, and I know it's humbling, but I know that I have so much more to learn. So that's why I continue to take credits. And for those trainers out there who are watching this, or instructors and saying, well, Ksenia, it's expensive. Yes, I know it is very expensive. But see, because the past 4 years, I've been able to get all of my, knock on wood, all of my courses and accreditations paid for through educational grants, which is amazing. For example, if you're in Canada, you want to go to, and you were or are a professional dancer, and you have proof with your pay contracts, your contracts you can send to them, or your pay stubs that you can send to them. You become a member, and then you have access to something like $1,500 for educational credits, and then $3,000 for career exploration. It's an incredible program, and They're absolutely wonderful. If you want to know more about them, please let me know. Dancers Transition Resource Center. They're on Instagram as well. But I'm sure there's other programs as well wherever you live that you can get educational grants. And if you can't afford that, look up human clinical trials. That's free. It's all there. It's all online. And it's not that hard to decipher. Now, let me take that back because that could be really educationally snobby. And if you find that difficult to understand, get other books or talk to other trainers who are educated. You can take books out from the library or look to see on the courses and what the book actually is. You can sometimes find the books secondhand. Thriftbooks.com is awesome. It's a bit pricey to get shipping to Canada. And that's for anybody. You don't need to be a trainer, but it's easier if you already have that knowledge base of the body. It may be easier for a trainer to understand than a layperson. But even if you're just curious about the body and want to learn, go teach yourself. Everyone can learn how. Absolutely. Get a book out from the library. The best thing you can do is to work with a trainer in person, but I know that is pricey. You can also work out with people online, and I know that's also out of some people's price range as well, but there are sliding scales, and I know myself, and I can think of 2 other trainers off the top of my head, and one of them I don't even know. I've never met her. I've only ever seen her on IG, and she has a huge following, and I actually saw it on her website. I'm like, you know what? That's a really good idea. I'm going to put it on mine. If you want to take this and this is out of your price range, please email me, contact me. We'll work something out so that you can take either my classes or my membership, because movement should be available to all, accessible to all. I do believe that. Yeah, I still need to make a living for sure. Going on with that, so you've looked at this trainer's alignment, their posture, how they speak, if it makes sense to you, and do they correct you when you're in class, in any capacity, when you're training with them, and then get them to take a video of you of doing the movement you're doing. When you're doing it correctly, when they think you're doing it correctly, get them to take a video of you so that you have that for yourself to take home, and then you can study and go to a mirror and then compare, do the movement, record yourself, and then compare it to the video that they took of you and the one you did on your own. Was it the exact same or was it different? And then another way you can tell, but this will be, I'm a snob. There's many times I will give everyone a chance. I think I have something to learn from everyone on some level. I do believe that. It took me a long time to learn that. Humbling. Egotistical, huh? I was so egotistical when I was younger because I was a classically trained ballet dancer, and a contemporary dancer came to watch me do a show and was giving me notes. I'm like, what does she have to tell me? And then she had the most beautiful, kind things and educational things to say to me. And I was like, Ksenia, you have so much to learn on so many levels. So, I am a snob. Be a snob for yourself. And I'm not saying be rude, but in the back of your mind, know when you're watching this person moving, are they moving in alignment? Are they standing in alignment? Are they moving in alignment? If you see them doing an anterior tilt and they're doing a plie or a squat and they don't give you a reason behind that, and I'm just giving you 2 arbitrary moves, for example, know that, okay, either A, they don't know how to communicate that information, B, they're just moving arbitrarily, or C, they don't care. This C infuriates me, and it makes me very upset when trainers and instructors don't find it important to educate themselves, that they will take people's money, especially brothers' money, or anyone who has body issues will just take their money and train them. However, they've been training X, Y, and Z people, and it's not helping the person at all. They're not seeing the results that they want. I'm not talking about, I want to see my 6-pack. I'm talking about maybe they've had knee issues and that knee pain is still there. That's a problem. That's a very big problem. You need to go to a specialist and get that assessed ASAP. And do the rehab. And then if the person you're working with to train your body isn't able to utilize those rehab techniques or give you new ones, or even listening to you to what you and your body needs, You need to leave. Your money can be spent much better in other places. We've talked about a lot here, kind of all across the board. If you decide to train by your water. If you decide to train by yourself, you want to use a mirror and you want to use a camera so you can check in on your own alignment. And I do this for myself still. I'll be teaching and then I'll be editing a video, and thankfully my form got better. But at first I was like, ooh, Ksenia, like that is rough. To check in with your own form if no one's able to check in on it for you, or go to a specialist. I recommend pelvic floor physiotherapists because here in Canada they have their masters in physiotherapy, so they know so much about the body. But I know that's pricey. So by yourself, use a mirror, use a camera, do a warm-up always, no matter what. The only time I say don't do a warm-up, but it's still a warm-up, is say in a class where I teach precision, or if I'm doing just strict mat Pilates work, I still do a warm-up, but you won't know it's a warm-up because it's a gentle beginning. It won't make sense to you unless you've really done my classes. Unless you go on and you do my precision class, I'll link it here, and then do something like my cardio bar, my signature class. Then you'll see a difference between the warm ups. You always want to do a warm up because it's, again, I'll use the car analogy. When the body is cold, you cannot go from 0 to 60 without injury occurring. It's simply a really bad idea. You wouldn't start your car and go 100 right away, or 0 to 60. In the wintertime especially, you want it to warm up. The body is exactly the same. We want the synovial fluid to become less viscous around our joints. And synovial are our round joints. So like think of like your femur head, and it's like clarified butter. And if you move right away, like clarified butter, it's not going to budge. But once the body warms up, it becomes more viscous, so it becomes more oily. Then you can move the joints easier. So that's why we warm up the body mindfully. When you warm up, you want to warm up every single part of the body that you intend to work out. Because same thing, it just doesn't make sense to go from 0 to 60 to doing a grand jeté, or doing a deep squat, or bench pressing your max right away. It just doesn't make sense. You need to warm up first. And you warm up every single muscle group. Then you always want to cool down. But here's the caveat. You don't want to stretch in the middle of, say, if you're doing a weight session, don't stretch in the middle, because your muscles are being, your muscle fibers are being torn apart in a way. And then if you're stretching, you're exacerbating that, but not in a good way. We want the muscles to be torn, and then we do the cool down of every single muscle group that you worked. There are some people who do endurance training that literally will do marathons every single day, but that's not sustainable for life. You need to learn how to do tapering. Tapering is you work throughout a week, you work the body, you start out here, you come up, and then you give it a little break. Then you go up, and then you do the reset, and then you come up. If you want to move every day, I highly recommend doing active recovery on at least 1 day per week. It's simply smart. It keeps your body at an optimum peak performance level, whatever that means for you. And this goes for I was a professional dancer. This is how I stayed injury-free. Although once I did get an injury, and that was because this is before I got my accreditation as a personal trainer, and started learning like more deeply about the body and getting all my body nerd courses. I was training for a half marathon, and I was in a show at the same time, and I had an eating disorder full blown, and I got a stress fracture in my foot from excessive training. I wasn't training properly. I was doing it all by myself. It was wholly wholly trial and error. I mean, that WHOLY, trial and error. And that's the one time that I did get injured in a show. Nope, that's a lie. Second time, I twisted my ankle when I wasn't in proper footwear. The company wasn't able to pay for proper shoes and color them. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just wear socks over top of my split soles. And I slipped. And and they didn't have any rosin. I was just doing a grand battement, like a big kick, and my foot slipped underneath me and I twisted my ankle. Yeah. So now I've learned more. I know more and I'm sharing. You want to taper so you have less chance of body injury. A little bit more about tapering. Say you want to build your week, and I'm thinking about actually putting it up here on YouTube, is putting a free month workout with my videos with tapering in it so you can see what it actually looks like. Because everyone learns differently. Some people are oral, some people are visual, some people are kinesthetic, and I forget all the different learning types. My partner's a teacher and he knows all this, but my apologies, I just forget all of them right now. So that might help some people. But what you want is, say on Monday, you do, say if you're like an intermediate mover and you want to move 5 days a week. So Monday, you might go for a bike ride, like an easy bike ride. And then Tuesday, you love kickboxing. You're going to go take a kickboxing class. And then Wednesday, you want to lift weights. So you're going and you want to work out your entire body. You want to do a circuit of your entire body with heavy weights. And then Thursday, in order for your body to heal, because you just lifted weights, you need to give your body 24 hours off between lifting weights in order, whatever muscle group it is, in order for those muscles to heal. Because if you don't, that's where injury can occur. So if you're a person who wants to move like five days in a row and then have 2 days off, so you have Monday, you have your bike ride, Tuesday, kickboxing, Wednesday, weight training. Thursday, I would suggest a yoga class, any kind that you wish, because it's going to, if you want more intense, then you go do Ashtanga. If you want less intense, then do something like yin yoga. Or you can do in between moksha. You have your choice. Or a flow class. Yes, a vinyasa flow class. Or you might want to do, did I say Iyengar more? Yeah. Or an Iyengar class is wonderful, by the way, for beginners, because lots of props are used and generally their instructors are well versed. I'm not accredited with Iyengar. I'm currently a student, but I find a lot of their philosophies resonate with me, especially for their prenatal and postpartum in terms of yoga movement, for whatever that's worth. So, okay, then you have your yoga on the Thursday. Friday, we're going to take it back up again. You are going to do, you're training for a marathon, so you're going to go do your hill day. And then Saturday, Sunday, you are off completely, except for you're going to meditate on one of those days. And if you felt so inclined, you might do a super gentle active recovery of, maybe it's Aldoa, maybe it's another yoga class, or maybe you come take Précision, there's so many options. I'm just trying to think. Like you could do like a combo active recovery. You could do a really, really gentle mat Pilates, maybe, but that's still working out your body quite a bit for active recovery. But see what works for you. But then that's now like kind of 6 days a week. So the active recovery we had in that week with the 5 days would have been yoga on Thursday. That would have been your active recovery day. And then the Friday with your hill training marathon day. And then say instead you would do Saturday, after your hill training day, you want to make sure that you have an Epsom salt bath that day. That's going to help move lactic acid out of your muscles, and drink lots of lukewarm water. An Ayurvedic specialist I worked with recommended that because she said it was easier for the kidneys to process toxins out of the body. So the body doesn't have to heat up the water or anything. Even though other people argue, well, the body's already at a certain temperature, so is that more work for the kidneys? I'm not 100%. I'm just sharing because I think it's really interesting for Ayurvedic ideas as well, for myself personally. And then meditate. That would be an awesome week. And then you could repeat that exact same pattern the next week. Except maybe you want to go do a spin class instead of kickboxing. And maybe you want to go do a bar class instead of doing a weightlifting session. I mean, there's so many options. Mix it up. The body likes variety. The brain and body likes variety. At least I do. I get bored. And I need to find studies that actually support that. It's just something I've always personally believed and that I've seen the best results in my own personal clients by doing variety with the body. Is not always the same thing, mixing it up. Challenging the brain and the body, especially creating new neural pathways by learning new concepts, new ways of moving, is the best way to fight Alzheimer's. And there's also has been studies that show that if you do at least 2 hours of cardiovascular movement per week, that lessens your chances of having Alzheimer's. That lessens your chances of Alzheimer's, which it improves your memory in general. J'étais une entraîneur à l'École nationale de théâtre du Canada. I was a trainer at the National Theatre School of Canada, and I had to find reasons of why the art students should start their day with movement every day, and why it wasn't just about how your body looked. It was how it activated the hypothalamus in the brain, how it improved memory, many different things. So I researched a lot, and I found it interesting for myself too. I can share that in a different video. Also with tapering, to go alongside with that, is stretching. You need to stretch at least once a week. And the human clinical trials have shown us that humans lose 15% of flexibility every single year. So, okay, we have 100%. If I don't do anything, I'm then at 85%. If I don't do anything, I lose 15% of 85%. So I keep on going down the line. You see what I'm saying? And that is for someone who is sedentary. And if you move, it's a little bit better. But then if you move and you're not stretching, because you're tearing the muscles and building them up, it's not creating the same range of movement that a person would have in their body. The only person who I'd say if all they're doing is yoga all the time, that would be one person who I would say, well, you really wouldn't have to worry then too much about doing stretching once a week because you're already doing it. But I would say for active recovery, yes, because it depends what kind of yoga they're doing. You might want to do yin on your active recovery day, or active recovery day, you might want to do Aldoa, or you might just want to do meditation, because there's been some studies, this is super exciting, that show the mind is so powerful. Oh, now I don't want to say anything incorrectly. This was from the course I took. I'll need to relook up the actual study again, but the information that was given to us, and I just can't recall if it was a study or if it was they saw it in clinical practice, that postpartum women, this was brain connected, that if the brain is in an agitated state, the body is in an agitated state. But when the brain is in a calm state, the body is in a calm state. So to help get the brain into a calm state is to meditate. So that could be part of your active recovery, is you simply meditate. You might do a couple of asanas. And when you do the asanas, I do active recovery. I don't just say stretching. I don't want to being static in one place. It's you want to move through gently and mindfully, connecting with your brain body. And they found that with the postpartum women, that they healed faster when they didn't do anything and they meditated. Isn't that wild and amazing? A lot of the postpartum birthers were so stressed and doing everything they could and working hard and getting frustrated, and their bodies weren't healing. And it was something like there was prolapse of 4th degree, and with adding in meditation within a couple weeks, all that person was doing was adding meditation once a week, along with all the other breathing, primarily learning how to breathe non-paradoxically, and the degree healed by 2 degrees. What? That's incredible. So I think that goes for any kind of movement in the human body. When we're in a stressed state, our body is in that fight or flight. It's in the sympathetic nervous system, where we can't do anything, we can't concentrate or really think about anything else because we're just thinking about survival. And when we can access the parasympathetic nervous system, where our body's able to digest and know that it is okay from that metaphorical or real life lion, our bodies are much happier. So think about that. If you can add in the active recovery and meditation at least once a week, however that works for you. And P.S., Medito app is incredible. It's free. I mean, if you can donate, wonderful. Did I donate? I absolutely did. I think what they're doing is incredible work. Oh my gosh, there's so much, because there's more information even for menstruators, practical advice about weightlifting. Okay, this is going to be a lot for me to edit, so I think I'm going to stop there. Once again, thank you for taking the time to watch all the way through, and I would like to take this moment to acknowledge that I'm based on the unceded territory of Tiohtià:ke, specifically of the Huron-Wendat, the Mohawk, and the St. Lawrence Iroquoian peoples. This land was traditionally a meeting place, and it's my intention to honor the Indigenous use of this land by keeping it a meeting place for the beautiful Beast community. And my own personal act of reconciliation is to donate my disposable income to the Native Women's Shelter of Montreal. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have any questions, comments, or requests, please write them down below. Please think about sharing my video or telling someone about me. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you want to come take a class, I'd love to see you. Have a very good day, and until next time, take care.